Barlow says she started driving around the Park Duval neighborhood and eventually found her 13-year-old son walking east on West Ormsby Avenue, a 27-minute walk away from where he was originally dropped off. This intersection of 12th Street and Rowan Street will be turned into one of the main entrances for Waterfront Park. People like Meadows think that this will not only attract folks living in the West End, but also more businesses. Misty, do you have anything to say about what you knew about this throughout the last 6 years? Doug, so the Indiana State Police is doing a full review of Jamie Knowles' finances, and as a part of that, they got a statement from American Express. And of course, the card season this year is really getting some infused life from head coach Jeff Brom, and lucky enough, we have his sister here, Kim Brom, who is nice enough to give us an interview. Kim, how does this card season rank for you? While Ferguson and her neighbors are in the purple, the last group identified as part of Phase 2, and that means there has been at least an 8-year time difference in when people got their insulation based on if they lived on the west side of Alexander Avenue or the east side.
Shooter ready.
They are cheap, they are tiny, and they take an everyday, ordinary semi-automatic firearm and turn it into a machine gun.
They don't have a serial number, they can be 3D printed at home, and the bullets can fly anywhere.
It's just so much more dangerous because of the number of civilians that, could be hit.
If you have a Glock switch, you can be charged federally for possession of a machine gun. U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Indiana, Zachary Myers, has prosecuted at least 5 people since August specifically for Glock switches. His office points out there were actually more cases, but the accused were facing other charges such as violent crimes or drug trafficking.
Unfortunately, we're seeing more and more of these in the hands of children, in the hands of teenagers, and we have to do what we can to get these off the street to make the public safer.
Myers has jurisdiction because the National Firearms Act bans all new machine guns after 1986, and the definition includes parts used for converting a weapon into a machine gun. But it takes a long time to build a federal case, and the prevalence of these devices is not slowing down.
There are 60 counties in the Southern District of Indiana, each of whom has their own elected prosecutor that covers that jurisdiction. And there's just our office.
We felt like we had to do something.
Ryan Mears is the Marion County prosecutor in Indianapolis. He's charged 87 people for possessing Glock switches under Indiana's anti-machine gun law. That law uses a more traditional definition of machine gun, and Mears admits it has been an aggressive interpretation by his office. He is now facing one lawsuit on the matter.
This issue is currently being litigated. Is our position correct? Did we go too far?
The Indiana legislature saw this and acted, passing a bill in early April that would amend the state's machine gun law to mirror federal language.
This would really bring authority back to local municipalities in order to expedite that process.
If signed by Governor Holcomb, county prosecutors would have the same confidence as the federal system in handling these cases. Across the river in Kentucky, there is no machine gun law, and people need to be transferred into the federal system.
I'm going to go ahead and dismiss all the charges here in district court.
Colin Billups of Louisville was arrested for allegedly ordering a Glock switch from China, but LMPD could only charge him with fleeing from police until a federal grand jury could indict him. Billups is the 9th federal case for Glock switches in the Western District of Kentucky. Do you think every state with a Glock switch issue should be pursuing a law like this?
Well, it certainly provides prosecutors and law enforcement with an additional tool to address this issue. And I think it's always a good policy decision when you have a piece of equipment such as this.
While we have been covering the Salem water story for about a week, many residents say that they've had issues for over a year. We found that the city is under a court order from the state to address many of these issues. A lot of residents are hoping that the city begins to take it more seriously.
And then there's days when it's about as dark as my skin.
Bob Fletcher says it's a guessing game every day what color his water will be.
That little swig of water I took out of that jug just now, that's the first time I've taken a drink of water out of this house in at least a year.
He and many others only use the water for essential tasks like showering and washing dishes. We got these photos from others around town showing discolored water going into water filters, in cups at restaurants, and in bathtubs. Are you worried about health effects just from showering and dishes?
I mean, it might be slowly hurting me and me just not know it.
The Indiana Department of Environmental Management told us this is caused by sediment buildup in an old, low-pressure water main. It says both the city and state are aware of the problem and working on it. But this is just the surface of the issue.
I thought, what's this? I got to reading this, and I'm like, there's no way.
With last month's billing cycle, the city sent out its 2022 annual report admitting it had not done all required tests and had not fully notified the public for over 2 years. Did it feel like kind of just the city just like dropping a bomb?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
An IDEM spokesperson said the issues in this report led to the city being under a court order in November of last year to notify the public quicker and pay roughly $8,000 in fines. We are awaiting a follow-up response about how Salem has complied with that order.
Somebody's got to stand up, and it's not about me, it's about the entire community. Take a stand and say, hey, this is the problem. It needs to be fixed. We're tired of excuses. Get it done.
The city has not answered any of our specific questions about issues mentioned in any of these reports, but Mayor Justin Green did give us an updated statement today saying, quote, "The safety and health of our residents are a top priority for the city of Salem. We work closely with IDEM and its engineers, and notifying about the issues that impact our city is also a priority. The city of Salem is here to address our residents' questions and concerns."
They need to stop this. And all they're doing is pushing them from one spot to another.
The overpasses at Breckenridge and College Streets in the Smoketown neighborhood. A hotspot for homeless camping across the street from the future Community Care Campus Outreach Center. Despite no camping signs, many people spend the night here.
And they're going to go find another place to be homeless.
Greg Donnelly knows this struggle firsthand.
I've been homeless for about 6 months. I broke my ankle and my tibia, and I couldn't pay rent.
He's currently staying at Hope Village, but came outside to try and console people who were being relocated.
No one cares, you know?
This is one of 2 main locations where the city does weekly cleanings if necessary. The other is south of Slugger Field in Phoenix Hill.
Anytime we do an encampment relocation, we take that very seriously. The point is to mitigate safety and risk issues that exist within an encampment and to those who live or work in close proximity to a campment.
Deputy Mayor for Public Health Nicole George says fires in camps have become a big issue. 1 person died in a tent fire at this location in November. We also saw crews respond to some minor smoke in late January.
Sometimes those encampments are found in very difficult locations where, they themselves are impacting traffic.
I think the main thing that it's contingent upon, though, if you do relocate someone, is that you're moving them into a situation that's better than the situation you just described. So do you feel like that is what you guys are doing?
So that is absolutely the goal of Homeless Services Division.
In addition to the weekly cleanings downtown, crews also did 43 relocations throughout Louisville because someone submitted a complaint or city staff noticed it. These go through a formal assessment and notification process. The average amount of notice given was 8 days, and the city often gave more notice than required.
We're giving a proper amount of time, and in that time, the goal is to be able to get as much outreach as possible.
Between the date of posting and relocation, HSD workers are supposed to do a common assessment, which gets each resident on a path to housing. George says people under overpasses downtown also get a common assessment, in addition to police or city workers periodically checking on them.
Consistently letting community members know about shelter options, where they can get mail, where they can get IDs.
The people we talked to at the Smoketown weekly cleaning said they had not been connected to any resources. Did they say, you can go here, this is a place that can help you, or did they just clear your stuff?
They just cleared my stuff. It's hard being out here and you don't have anyone. And I'm sorry I'm crying, but it's difficult.
A lot of people involved in the city, they want to help, and we want to do this, we want to do that, and then you don't hear from them anymore.
Donnelly and Treshana Ware say there is a disconnect between what the city says is being offered and the options actually given to them.
It's like we have to give you the speech, and then we're done.
The thing they trust most is relying on each other.
There's a lot of times we don't have anything, but if we have a little something and someone like us needs it more than we do, we give it to each other.
In total, the city did 92 camp relocations or cleanings last year. It cost nearly $500,000, including staff salaries and public works equipment. The city says it did secure housing for more than 30 homeless residents last year. In Louisville, Travis Breese, WHAS 11 on your side.
I signed a lot of papers for that fire department.
Daryl Mills served as Floyd County Sheriff from 2007 to 2014.
I like the whole aspect of serving the community.
After his second term, he was asked to serve on the New Albany Township Board of Fire Trustees. What was kind of relayed to you about how serious of an appointment it was, or how much of a time commitment it was?
Well, the time commitment's not much. For real, it's, the statute requires 4 meetings a year.
The board has to find a company to provide fire service in the New Albany Township Fire Protection District using county money. The district includes the rural areas surrounding New Albany proper. In July 2016, the board signed a 10-year contract with Utica Township Fire Department doing business as New Chapel Fire, listing Jamie Knoll as the chief.
He was always at the board meetings and he would tell us the needs, and he's been a firefighter and a fire chief for over 20 years to my knowledge.
The contract doesn't have a dollar amount, but according to Indiana Gateway, which is a database for government contracts, the department got $1.13 million in 2017 and has got $7.2 million total since then. Had you been dissatisfied with the fire service at all for those first 7 years of the contract?
There's nothing that was brought to the board or to my personal attention. There was nothing that we had any alarms about as far as not getting the service of what we were paying for.
While Mills says they never had a reason to initiate an investigation, the contract requires yearly financial reporting. It specifically states that the fire department shall provide a yearly financial report and that the fire department has its budget approved by the district. Do you have recollections of doing that over the life of the contract?
I think that we do. That's more of a question for our financial secretary.
We called board treasurer Eric Furnish, and he said they have never asked for or received any of those documents in 7 years. When we started the recording, Furnish was only willing to say what does take place at their quarterly meetings.
We are having our required meetings. They're not 3-minute meetings. They're 30-minute meetings, 45-minute meetings. We're discussing the capital outlays and potential capital outlays.
Jamie Knoll was officially removed as CEO of these entities in mid-January. Current Deputy Chief Matt Owen couldn't confirm or deny if financial records were previously shared.
I don't have direct knowledge of that, but I do know that we're working with the district board now to look at that contract, review those terms, and make sure that they have all the information that they need.
Because Indiana State Police accuse Knoll of layering between his different businesses, there's no guarantee that Furnish or Mills would have found strong evidence of corruption, because the $4.8 million of personal credit card purchases are said to have happened at Utica Township Volunteer Firefighters Association. Still, Furnish says he's now committed to doing his part of the oversight.
The easy thing would have been to bail, and I'm here, and Daryl Mills is here. We're hanging in there. We want to create. We want to have history to be able to help fix the problem.
The fire board is complying with state investigators and looking at all of its equipment.
We was getting somewhat the bang for our bucks, but when that don't happen, then it's obviously time we take a look, and we want to give the taxpayers what they got coming.
A lawyer is also reviewing the 10-year contract to potentially end it early. In New Albany Township, Travis Breese, WHAS 11 on your side.